Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. In this episode, I want to show you how you can create 3D terrain augmented reality using Blender. So I will take you through the whole process. This is one example. This is actually the Catalina Island. It was based on this, of course, but I grabbed the data from a website, and the website is called terrain.party. And originally the idea came out after I was reading this article, how to 3D print a mountain, how to find model and print terrain. There's a whole article on this. You can look at it yourself. And yeah, and there is this method actually use a few other apps so you can print it out. So if you have access to 3D printer, definitely use this and follow what it does. But for what I'm gonna do today is I will be using terrain.party to look into Uluru. So Uluru is a sacred place in Australia, one of the wonder of the world. And if you look at it, if you search for it on Google Maps and maybe look at it in 3D, maybe I can use the satellite view. Okay, that's actually a really high resolutions of Uluru, and you can look at it in 3D. So it's already 3D, and you can perhaps already find it on Sketchfab. But we're gonna go through the process of doing this. So I look at it on Google Maps first because I need to find the locations. Terrain.party actually have pretty bad search engine, so you can't really search it using this. I tried typing Uluru, it couldn't find it. But if you look at it from using Google Map, we can sort of tell, okay, this is actually near the Alice Spring. So where's Alice Spring? So this is Alice Spring, and then this is Uluru. Oops. So this is just on the east. Oh, is it west? Okay, west side from Alice Spring. So this is how I found the location of the map. Anyway, once you find the location of the map, you can download the depth or the height terrain data simply by clicking on this cloud and just name it my Uluru, for example. With this, unfortunately, with Uluru, I couldn't get super high resolutions data. It's kind of like pretty low res, but it's not too bad. It's kind of, so this is the data that I can grab. It's, yeah, I think this is low res. It's not medium, but we can use this inside Blender and to get a result. So let's get started. File, new, general. I'm using Blender 2.80. This is actually really simple. So just now I just delete everything. I select everything using A, delete using X, delete, and then I use Shift A, mesh, plane. I will be using just a plane object. Go into modifier. We're gonna subdivide it using the subdivision surface modifier, and then this of course subdivide the objects, and we can subdivide it multiple times, but it's becoming circle. I don't want that. I want it to be kind of squares, so we use, instead of Catmull Clark, we use symbol. Okay, so this is the maximum subdivision 6, but we can use another subdivision surface modifier and go a bit higher before we then use displace. So subdivide, a simple plane, subdivide twice, and displace modifier. And here we can apply a texture. Simply open up our height map data from downloads. So I have a couple Uluru. This is the one we just downloaded. Normally merge one is actually good. So that's That's our Uluru. We can displace it maybe one more time just to get more detail. Okay, so that's not too bad, right? You can actually, if you use Google Maps, you can get the satellite view of Uluru. So it shapes like kind of like an arrow. Yeah, so you can get the detailed snapshot of this somehow. Get rid of the text. And maybe Photoshop it, and then you just apply it here, so you can have kind of like a tricky, higher resolutions of the subject. So that's one way to add the details. But other than that, this is kind of done. And let me show you what else. So I'm gonna save this as blend Uluru. I don't know why I put 001 there. Anyway, save it. I'll show you a couple more other process that you can do. So I'm just gonna apply the subdivisions and the displacement. If I tap Z and go to wireframe, this is pretty high res, not too bad. But I want to kind of clean this up. We can use a cube for actually. So just use the cube to crop our Uluru. So look at it from the top view, orthographic. I'm gonna crop this so it's nice and tight for our AR. Gonna trim it like that. So with this cube being selected, I will use the Boolean, select our Uluru plane object, and then choose intersect. So whatever intersects will be cropped. So just hit apply. So I'm gonna delete the original plane, and we have our clean Uluru, and I will right click and shade smooth. Okay, so that's a low res Uluru, but you might be able to find a high res height map somehow, or use photogrammetry. I don't think you can fly a drone and to get the laser scan of this wonder of the world. If you've been to this place, you're pretty lucky. If you've visited all the wonders of the world, Uluru, Candi Borobudur, or the Angkor Wat temple in Vietnam, I think you are pretty lucky if you visited all those wonders. Anyway, so this is of course flat. We don't have any material, and we don't have any texture unless you follow my suggestion to screen grab this and then project it on top of this to get a better texture. Even though this is low res, it's gonna work. But anyway, this guy we can currently it's just looking like this. If you look at it from the bottom as AR, it's gonna be disappear because it's only single-sided. So my suggestion is to go into edit mode. Here with all the vertices selected, you go F3 and then select the boundary loop, and then you just tap E, extrude it down, release, and then tap S, Z, is it Z? Okay, and then 0, and I zero it out, so it's clean. We can also cover this, just tap F, fill it up. So now we have this. It's better presentations of our Uluru. You look at it from the front view, just bring it up so the floor is properly placed on the floor. Control A, apply all transform. Actually, before we do that, I actually like to scale this to 1. Put it on the floor. Control A, assign. Okay, so this is probably done unless you want to do the texture projection. Yeah, we can do that. yeah, this is like north. Shouldn't be too hard actually. Just get rid of this text. Not gonna do that now, but there is a way to do that very easily using Blender. Another way is to use a shader file. Open. I have a shader that I downloaded. It's called Texture Gen by Bekocha. I think Daniel Bekocha made this stylized shader. So if we apply this shader into our ULURU, and if we are using cycles instead of EV, we're gonna have something that's looking quite nice. It's stylized. It's not like the real thing. If you like to texture this, just paint it. You can do that as well. But I'm using this Daniel Bekocha stylized shader, so we can actually have quite an interesting look of our ULURU. Give it subsurface scattering. Okay, so a bit of green, a little bit of red. Australia, because Australia is pretty red, like Mars. So with our texture, we can actually go inside the node and find the color of our subsurface scattering, which is set to red by default. So that's the subsurface, of course. Just make it okay. I think red is okay, and the green is actually from here. It's not that green. It has green around it. So maybe it's something like that. And then you can do, and then after this you can do some baking if you like. Let's see, this have UV. It has UV map from the box, so it might work if I just bake it. Let me stop the calculations. I can try baking it, but I can maybe show you how to export it as AR. USDZ, ULURU ROCKS. I don't think you can climb these rocks anymore, unfortunately. Just to preserve this wonder of the world. But you can look at it as AR. So that's the GLB, plain GLB, no material whatsoever. USDZ convert. It's pretty small, 2.2 megabyte. And there you go, ULURU without any kind of texture. Let me try baking this now. Image editor, new, 1024, image texture. Select our image, select our 3D objects, bake, combine, simply baking. So select 3D object, select the texture, hopefully it is baked properly. Wait a few seconds. This can take from a few seconds to minutes depending on the render samples. And of course you can work out the, okay, that's the ULURU. Doesn't look quite nice. But I think that's because I didn't use the UV projection properly. So if I want to do this properly, go to the top view, F3, UV project from view, and use the scale to bound, I guess. So if you now look at it look at the UV, it's correctly projected from above. So we can do another baking. So baking, if you are new to 3D, baking is just a way so that if we are using procedural texture like this, or we have like a complex shader, we want to bake it into a simple PBR shader that's made up of diffuse, glossy, ambient occlusion, etc., etc. So we do this kind of baking quite often in 3D, especially if we are preparing for the 3D assets for game engine or even for a movie, just to simplify the shader. And in this case, we are preparing it for augmented reality, for AR, so that we can get the look that we want. I really want to screen grab this one and project it here. Maybe I'll do that at some point and then upload the result into Sketchfab. So hopefully now we get a bit higher resolutions of this texture that we're gonna apply back into these assets. Wait a couple more seconds. So Uluru is one of the interesting terrain in the world, but there are a lot more. I mean, in Australia, you have Three Sisters at Blue Mountain, and there's a lot more that's actually have the ocean, similar to Catalina. That's just Australia. You can find a lot more from all around the world, and you just hopefully you can find it here in the terrain, this data. Maybe we can even go to islands like this and then just screen grab, for example, this Woodlark Island. This is just random, right? But I can just, okay, I want to grab this island, center it on the map, Woodlark, and maybe zoom in and zoom out. Oh, it's already downloading it, but you can zoom in and zoom out, try to get the whole island, and then you can, okay, Blender finish. Don't worry, you can screen grab and then make something like this. Oh, look at this, the result is the same, more or less the same. But anyway, I'll do this very quickly. Diffuse, I'm gonna save the diffuse. And for this, I will create a new material, and then assign the diffuse, plug it into the base, and maybe roughness. Oh, that's too, maybe plug it into metallic and then increase the roughness. Or maybe not at all, just this. Seems pretty low res somehow. I have a feeling I forgot something, but if you go File, Export GLB, save it as Uluru, and then go back here, convert it into USDZ, you now have augmented reality Uluru, basically. Even though it's low res, it is actually still, Uluru is still based on real data that's being scanned by satellite from above. So like in this case, if it's the Woodlark Island, if we go out, this island must be really, really small. Take a screenshot, Woodlark again, and look at the result. So that's Uluru, downloads, Woodlark. This island might have much more resolutions than Blender, than this Uluru. Actually, if we go back to our, oh, I didn't save it. Huh, I should have saved the old one. If you use the same method, just use plain, subdivide, and displace based on this island, you're gonna get this high-res model of the island in 3D, as 3D. All right. So that's the idea. Hopefully you find this useful. Let me know if you have any question, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.